Welcome to the Fighter Index, MMA's unofficial fighter scoring system. In this video, we're breaking down an explosive light heavyweight matchup between Zhang Mingyang and Alonzo Menifield, two fighters built around power, aggression, and the ability to end the fight fast. Zhang brings raw power, constant pressure, and a dangerous finishing instinct that makes every exchange feel urgent. Menifield, on the other hand, brings veteran experience, explosive athleticism, and some of the most heavy one-shot power in the division. This is a matchup where patience may not last long. Zhang wants chaos and forward pressure, forcing opponents into fast and violent exchanges. Menifield thrives in those same moments, but with a more measured approach, waiting for the right time to land something fight-changing. We're going to break down their archetypes, their best weapons, strengths and weaknesses. We're going to score all four pillars of the fighter index, map out their fight dynamics, go over their paths to victory, and see which fighter holds the edge when the numbers are totaled for their fighter index scores. The fighter index puts Zhang Mingyang as a B-tier chaos pressure striker that is built around pressure, aggression, and forcing opponents into bad reactions. He wins by overwhelming people early, creating chaos and capitalizing once exchanges get messy. His step-in elbows, fast combinations, and willingness to force uncomfortable fights make him dangerous, but because his style relies heavily on momentum and carries clear defensive risks, he fights best as a B-tier archetype. Very dangerous, but not yet structurally complete enough for A-tier. Alonzo Menifield is a B-tier knockout artist that is built around one-shot power, explosive athleticism, and punishing mistakes. He doesn't need long combinations or sustained pressure, he needs moments. His best work comes when opponents overextend and he lands something fight-changing. His clinch strength and veteran composure add another layer, but cardio questions and a heavy reliance on power prevent him from reaching A-tier consistency. Zhang's best weapon is his aggressive finishing pressure. He doesn't just throw to score, he throws to end fights. Once he senses momentum, he pushes hard, forces opponents into fast, uncomfortable exchanges. His second major weapon is his straight-line power. Where there's punches in combination or elbows in close, he hits with real intent and forces opponents to react immediately. His third weapon is pace disruption. He makes fights messy early, which prevents technical opponents from settling into rhythm. Menifield's best weapon is pure one-shot knockout power. He doesn't need long combinations. One combination connection can completely change the fight. His second major weapon is his explosiveness. His speed and burst at light heavyweight make him dangerous even in short exchanges. His third weapon is his physical strength, especially in the clinch and defensive wrestling where he can stop momentum and reset the fight. Zhang Mingyang's biggest strength is how aggressively he forces fights into dangerous territory. His game is built around pressure, fast offense, and a constant willingness to push exchanges before opponents can settle in. He doesn't give much time to think. He forces reactions and make the fight feel more chaotic from the opening minutes. What makes Zhang especially dangerous is his finishing instinct. Once he sees an opening, he commits hard and puts an end to the fight rather than simply win moments. His power carries real stopping ability, and his willingness to throw in combinations make him dangerous even when exchanges get messy. He thrives when opponents are uncomfortable, backing up, or forced to defend multiple attacks in a row. His aggression also creates momentum. When Zhang gets the pace moving in his direction, he can overwhelm opponents before they ever find rhythm. At light heavyweight, that kind of pressure and confidence makes him a very dangerous early round fighter. Zhang Mingyang's aggressive style creates danger, but it also creates openings. Because he pushes forward so heavily and commits hard to offense, his defensive structure can break down, especially against patient counter-strikers who are willing to let him overextend. He can be hit clean when chasing finishes, and against powerful light heavyweights, that becomes a major risk. He's also susceptible to leg kicks. Case in point is his loss to Johnny Walker. His game also relies heavily on early momentum. If opponents survive the first wave, slow the pace, and force him into longer, more measured fights, his effectiveness can dip. He's most dangerous when dictating chaos, but when fights become slower, more technical, or wrestling heavy, he can lose control of the rhythm. There are also questions about how he handles disciplined veterans who don't panic under pressure. If his early aggression is neutralized, he has fewer layers to fall back on compared to more well-rounded fighters. Alonzo Menifield's biggest strength is his raw, fight-changing power. At light heavyweight, he is one of those fighters who never needs many opportunities. One clean shot can completely flip the fight. His explosiveness and athleticism make that power even more dangerous because he can close the distance fast and land before opponents have time to react. What makes Menifield especially effective is that he combines that power with physical strength and veteran composure. He's dangerous in the clinch, strong defensively against takedowns, and capable of slowing reckless opponents down by forcing them into physical exchanges. He doesn't always need volume because his best moments come from timing, patience, and choosing the right opening to explode. His experience also matters in wild fights. Unlike younger aggressive fighters, Menifield has been through high-level exchanges and understands when to force action and when to make opponents pay for mistakes. When he stays composed and fights behind his power instead of chasing chaos, he becomes a very dangerous matchup. Menifield's biggest issue has often been pace management. His explosive style can drain his gas tank if he's forced into longer fights, especially against opponents who survive the early danger and make him work through extended exchanges. When the fight gets deep, his output and movement can slow noticeably. His striking can also become predictable when he relies too heavily on single, big moments instead of building offense behind consistent volume. More technical fighters who stay disciplined and avoid reckless exchanges can force him into chasing instead of controlling. While his defensive wrestling is strong, he can still struggle against opponents who combine pace and layered offense over time. If he can't get respect early with his power, the fight can start slipping away as rounds progress. Now it's time to break these fighters down using the Fighter Index Scale. We break down each phase of the fight to score each skill to better understand the strengths and the weaknesses of a fighter's game. All Fighter Index scores are based on a scale of 1 to 10. Scores are subjective and can change as a fighter evolves from fight to fight. Here's how the Fighter Index works. Each fighter is evaluated across 4 pillars made up of 4 key skills. Every skill is scored on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 represents a non-functional ability and 10 represents a rare or generational skill. Everything in between reflects a fighter's level in that area, and at the end of the video, those scores are combined to calculate the Fighter Index score to see who's the more complete fighter. Pillar 1, Fight IQ and Athletic Tools. This matchup is very close, but the small differences start to show when you look at how each fighter applies their physical tools. Starting with Fight IQ, both Zhang Mingyang and Alonzo Menifield score a 6. Zhang is an aggressive finisher who often fights more off pressure and momentum than deep strategic layering, while Menifield, despite more veteran experience, also tends to rely heavily on power moments rather than long-term tactical control. In athleticism, Menifield gets the edge, scoring an 8 compared to Zhang's 7. Zhang is still fast, explosive, and physically dangerous for the division, but Menifield's burst speed, raw strength, and natural explosiveness give him a slight advantage in pure athletic tools. Stamina is even at 6 for both fighters. They are most dangerous early, and both have shown that longer fights can create problems, especially after explosive starts and high output bursts. Resolve is also even at 7. Zhang is confident in firefights and dangerous under pressure, while Menifield has proven he can stay tough and threatening even when momentum starts shifting against him. Because Fight IQ, Stamina, and Resolve scores stay even while Menifield holds a slight edge in athleticism, Pillar 1 slightly favors Alonzo Menifield. Pillar 2, Striking and Stand-Up Defense. This is where the matchup starts to feel dangerous immediately because both Zhang Mingyang and Alonzo Menifield are built to end fights with power. Starting with striking, both fighters score an 8. Zhang brings aggressive finishing pressure and throws with real intent, often overwhelming opponents with fast offense and combinations. Menifield gets there differently. His power is more explosive and compact, with the kind of one-shot knockout threat that can change the fight instantly. In the clinch, Menifield takes the edge with a 7 to Mingyang's 6. His physical strength and ability to work in tight spaces make him more dangerous in close-range exchanges, while Zhang is functional there but prefers open striking exchanges where he can keep momentum flowing. Striking defense is even at 5, and that tells an important story. Both fighters can be hit clean because of how aggressively they fight. Zhang's offensive style creates openings when he pushes forward, while Menifield can also rely too heavily on durability instead of layered defense. In chin, they're even again at 7. Both are proven tough enough to survive heavy exchanges, but neither is untouchable when clean shots start landing. Because both men carry equal finishing power, but Menifield holds a clinch advantage and brings slightly more controlled explosiveness, Pillar 2 slightly favors Alonzo Menifield. Pillar 3, Grappling and Control. This is where the matchup becomes more interesting, because while neither fighter is known as a wrestling-first specialist, one fighter clearly brings more upside if the fight hits the mat. Starting with wrestling, both Zhang Mingyang and Alonzo Menifield score a 6. Both are functional enough to compete in grappling phases and defend themselves, but neither builds their game around constant wrestling pressure. In takedown offense, Zhang gets a slight edge with a 6 to Menifield's 5. He's a bit more willing to use grappling when openings appear, while Menifield has takedowns available, but they're not usually a primary path to victory. That same edge carries into top control, where Zhang again leads with a 6 to Alonzo's 5. He's shown a better ability to hold position and maintain control once the fight hits the ground, while Menifield's control tends to be less sustained against stronger grapplers. The biggest gap comes in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where Zhang scores a 7 compared to Menifield's 5. That suggests Zhang is stronger on the mat than many assume, with real submission ability, while Menifield is more competent than dangerous in technical grappling exchanges. Because the wrestling is even, but Zhang holds advantages in takedown offense, top control, and especially submission threat, Pillar 3 favors Zhang Mingyang. Pillar 4, Defense, Scrambles, and Ground Survival. This is another close pillar, but the small differences matter because both fighters can be forced into uncomfortable positions if the early striking chaos slows down. Starting with takedown defense, both Zhang Mingyang and Alonzo Menifield are even at 6. Neither is a shutdown anti-wrestler, but both are solid enough to defend themselves and avoid being controlled too easily by average opposition. In BJJ defense, they stay even again at 6. Both are generally functional and safe enough on the ground, but neither has shown the kind of elite defensive grappling that completely negates submission threats. The biggest separation comes in off the back, where Zhang scores a 6 compared to Menifield's 4. Zhang is more capable of working from bad positions and creating opportunities if he ends up underneath, while Menifield offers far less offensive threat from the bottom and is mostly focused on surviving and standing back up. In scrambles, Zhang also gets the edge, 7 to Alonzo's 6. His willingness to stay active in transitions makes him stronger when positions start changing quickly, while Menifield is a bit less dynamic once fights become messy on the mat. Because the early defensive layers are even, but Zhang is more dangerous off his back and more effective in scrambles, Pillar 4 slightly favors Zhang Mingyang. Now, when you take everything from the 4 pillars and you put it together, this is where the fight really starts to come into focus. This isn't just about individual skills anymore, this is about how those skills show up when the fights are actually happening. Who's controlling pace, who's forcing their style, and where each fighter is most effective. This matchup is less about who is technically superior and more about who is going to force their kind of fight first. In Pillar 1, Menifield gets the slight edge because both fighters are even at fight IQ at 6, stamina at 6, and resolve at 7, but is 8 in athleticism compared to Zhang's 7, given the advantage in raw explosiveness, physical strength, and the ability to create fight-changing moments. Pillar 2 also slightly favors Menifield. Both fighters score an 8 in striking, a 5 in striking defense, and a 7 in chin, but Menifield's 7 in clinch compared to Zhang's 6, giving the edge in close-range exchanges, where his strength and compact power become especially dangerous. Pillar 3 shifts towards Zhang Mingyang. Wrestling is even at 6, but Zhang leads in takedown offense with a 6, top control with a 6, and especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with a 7. That gives him more upside when the fight unexpectedly turns into a grappling battle. Pillar 4 also leans towards Zhang. Takedown defense and BJJ defense are even at 6, but Zhang's 6 edge and off the back and 7 advantage in scrambles make him more capable of surviving bad positions and turning transitions back in his favor. So this fight likely comes down to early control and composure. If Menifield can keep the fight standing, manage the range, and land first with its explosiveness, his power can decide everything quickly. But if Zhang can survive the first wave, keep the pace high, and drag the fight into longer exchanges or grappling transitions, his pressure and versatility start to make the fight much more dangerous for Menifield. Now we look at each fighter's path to victory based on what we learned from the 4 pillars. Zhang Mingyang's path to victory is built around forcing pace early, disrupting Alonzo Menifield's rhythm, and making the fight feel uncomfortable before Menifield can settle into his power game. The biggest striking comparison is Zhang's 8 in striking against Menifield's 5 in striking defense. Menifield is dangerous, but he can be hit clean, and Zhang's aggressive combinations, pressure, and step-in elbows create exactly the kind of sharp entries that can punish those openings, especially the kind of elbow he used so effectively against Anthony Lionheart-Smith. He also has a real advantage if the fight gets messy. Zhang's 7 in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu compared to Menifield's 5, along with a 6-4 edge and off the back and 7-6 advantage in scrambles, means he has more weapons if exchanges turn chaotic or if the fight hits the mat. Menifield wants clean power moments, but Zhang benefits when things become layered, fast, and uncomfortable. Just as important, Zhang's 6 in takedown offense and 6 in top control compared to Menifield's 5 and 5 give him another way to shift momentum if Menifield starts loading up on counters. He doesn't need to wrestle for whole rounds, he just needs enough to break rhythm and force Menifield to think twice. For Zhang, this fight is about pressure, pace, and never giving Menifield a calm fight. Crowd the space, punish openings with combinations of step and elbows, and turn the fight into the kind of chaos where momentum matters more than patience. Alonzo Menifield's path to victory is built around controlled explosiveness, staying patient early, making Zhang Mingyang walk into danger, and landing the cleanup power shots before Zhang's pressure can build momentum. The biggest comparison is Menifield's 8 in striking against Zhang's 5 in striking defense. Zhang's aggression creates openings, and Menifield has the kind of one-shot power to make those mistakes costly the second Zhang overextends. His 7 in the clinch compared to Zhang's 6 also matters. If Zhang tries to crowd space recklessly, Menifield can slow him down with physical clinch exchanges, short hooks, and tight power shots that break rhythm without needing wild exchanges. He doesn't want to match Zhang's chaos, he wants to punish it. Another important thing for him is to keep the fight standing and preventing Zhang from turning things into scrambles. Even though Zhang has the edge in BJJ and transitions, Menifield's best path is forcing into the striking battle where his 8 in athleticism and explosive burst can decide everything before deeper rounds become a factor. For Menifield, this fight is about patience, timing, and making Zhang pay for aggression. Let Zhang bring the pressure, stay composed, and land the bigger shots. When the numbers are finalized, Zhang Mingyang comes in with a 6.4 fighter index score compared to Alonzo Menifield at 6.1. The gap is small, but it reflects Zhang's advantages in the grappling phases. His strong Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, better scrambling ability, and more options if the fight becomes messy outside of pure striking exchanges. Menifield's explosiveness, clinch power, and one-shot knockout threat keep this fight extremely dangerous, especially early, but across more total phases of fighting, Zhang's versatility gives him a slightly stronger overall profile. And that's the breakdown for Zhang Mingyang versus Alonzo Menifield using the Fighter Index. This matchup really comes down to who controls the chaos. If Menifield can keep the fight standing, stay patient, and land the cleaner power shots, he can end it fast. But if Zhang forces pace, creates pressure, and drags the fight into messy exchanges or grappling transitions, his versatility gives him more ways to take over. Now I want to hear from you. Who do you think wins this fight? And is there a skill that you would score differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's break it down. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Fighter Index breakdowns.